You are live. Let's go. Welcome to the Shoy Show. It is May 26th, 2026, and the New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals. This is their first finals appearance since 1999. The last time the Knicks had a championship was 1973, which means that the title drought is now 53 years going. The Knicks got there by sweeping the Cleveland Cavaliers 4-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, closing it out with a 130-93 win. They beat them by 37 points last night. This is a blowout win to reach the finals. NBA.com described it as the Knicks' first finals berth since 1999. Duh. Thanks a lot, NBA.com. Jalen Brunson won Eastern Conference Finals MVP after leading the run. ESPN framed the Knicks' 11-game postseason winning streak as one of the most dominant runs in recent playoff history. Now, of course, this is the Shoy Show, and we talk a lot about money here. So let's go into ticket prices. By the way, as a Knicks fan, I just can't even believe that the team is this successful. It is the best team I've seen in my lifetime. I'm 36 years old. Most people have not seen a championship, right? Most people have died before the last time the Knicks won an actual finals. But let's look at these tickets. These tickets are insane. You see this board? It's littered in the 4,000s. The cheapest ticket on the board right now is $36.35. Average ticket, $4,000. These are for nosebleeds. Let's see what $38.34 will get you. I mean, just to be in the building, that's what Knicks fans want. And again, I keep talking about the affordability issue here because the Knicks are finally in the finals again. They are going for the championship. And if you are a fan like me, I believe we have the best team in the league. I do believe that the Knicks are going to win. So it means that you're going to be celebrating in Madison Square Garden. And that's what most fans want. But of course, they can't afford this. The Knicks' first finals game is Game 3 at Madison Square Garden on June 8th. The NBA schedule has games 1 and 2 on the road, so they will most likely face Oklahoma City, maybe the Spurs, who knows. Then games 3 and 4 at MSG on June 8th and June 10th. Two courtside tickets for a Knicks finals game at MSG reportedly sold on StubHub for $279,804. That's $140,000 per seat. The cheapest available ticket, again, is around $3,800, and premium seats behind the Knicks bench were listed as high as $192,000. So, $3,800 to get in, $279,000 for two courtside tickets. 53 years since the last championship. That gives you the whole conversation. If you are a Knicks fan, what is the price of being there for the first finals game home? For the first finals home game in 27 years? I mean, what's going to happen to tickets if the Knicks actually tie the game away? If it's 1-1 coming back to the Garden, what's going to happen to those prices? If they're down 0-2, do people panic sell? Or does the Garden still become the most expensive building in sports? Chances are tickets will still skyrocket. People want to see their team. And this is New York City. Of course, it's not cheap, but this is outrageous, isn't it? How would the average Knicks fan, right? We're in New York right now. How would the average Knicks fan talk about one of these tickets? I'll tell you how they would talk, right? I'm just going to, what? Tickets are what? 140,000 guys? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Show me that they're $140,000. Show me right now. Or no fucking way, right? I'd rather watch it on TV. This is crazy. Yes, it's a scarcity product. Yes, there's celebrity demand. There's corporate money. This is New York money. It's a 53 years of people saying, if they ever make it, I have to be there. But guess what? The fan that suffered through the bad years is not going to be the fan who can afford a final seat. Who the hell can afford $4,000? $4,000? It's to be all the way up top, go get a $20 hot dog, $20 nachos, $20 beer. We waited since 1999 to get back to the finals. This is one of the most incredible teams. If you have been watching the NBA playoffs, this is one of the best teams I have seen in a very long time. There's something about them. There's a grit. There's a, man, it's hard to put it into words, but there's a, I don't want to say magic because I feel like that's a bit escaping this team. This team knows what their identity is. Every single person knows how to play their role, and they are deadly at that. I mean, there is no stopping any player on this Knicks team. I have not seen it yet. It's really incredible to see. They are one of the best teams out there, arguably the best team. And I've also put my money where my mouth is. You know, gambling is gambling. I did place a bet on the Knicks. I do believe that they're going to win. That's what they call free money. There's no such thing as free. If you think money is free in this world, well, to quote Charlie Munger, rest in peace, you are stupid. Now, I me53 year drought? That's what we're talking about. The person who watched the Knicks lose for 20 years is priced out by the person buying the ticket as a status symbol. You just got to be there. You got to be in the garden. You got to take pictures. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of influencers, celebrities. And, you know, as a Knicks fan, I want to see the team win. I want to see them bring a championship to the city. I love the players. But then you think about all the fans and you're just like, damn, man, like, you're either breaking the bank or you have so much money, you probably don't give a shit about the team. And you're just like, you just want to be there. It is what it is, but these are the prices. It is well-deserved. Jalen Brunson is a beast. He's an animal. Karl Anthony Towns, Jose Alvarado. I mean, the team is just excellent. I mean, Jordan Clarkson, just everyone. It's just OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson. I mean, there's no one on this team that you can't love. Everyone is performing. They are crushing it. But again, I mean, just to go back to the ticket prices, $4,000, $5,000 for a ticket. And that's game 3. That's game 3. That's the first game of the finals that the Knicks will play at home, right? Because the West has home court advantage. They are now Eastern Conference champions. Imagine a closeout game. Imagine the game, right? We're probably going to do a video on that as well. Imagine the game where the Knicks are going to close out the championship. And imagine it's in Madison Square Garden. Those tickets are probably going to be like, I would guess like minimum $7,000. Minimum $7,000. That's so crazy, guys. There's people out here making $4,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. You don't see a problem with this? You got to stop dismissing it and say it's just New York. That doesn't work. If you can afford one of these tickets, and personally I can, right? I really can't. I would have to break the bank for it. I'd have to dip into my savings account. But can I buy one of the tickets? Yeah. I don't feel like this is a good thing. I feel like this is an awful thing. What do you have, 25,000 seats in the arena? Who's truly a fan in that arena? It sucks. And you see it all the time at these major sporting events. The rich get in, you got to pay to play. Everyone else gets priced out. Congratulations. Do you think the real Knicks fans are going to be in the stadium cheering their hearts out? These aren't the real Knicks fans. I mean, I don't want to, insult everyone, right? I'm sure there's going to be a ton of Knicks fans there. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we're working so hard for this money and there has to be a tremendous amount of sacrifice just for us to get into one of the games. Boo-hoo, cry baby, get a better job, go make more money, asshole. That's what they say, right? All right, congratulations to the New York Knicks. Amazing. I'm super excited. I definitely think they're winning. I mean, I put my money where my mouth is. That doesn't mean anything. You shouldn't gamble. Gambling's stupid. Okay. You know who wins in gambling? FanDuel and DraftKings and the Bellagio. That's how they pay for the chandelier that they hang up on the ceiling that you're always in awe of. Okay. All that water, the waterworks, right? Yeah. Somebody's paying for that. It's you. All right. Gambling is stupid. Go invest your money in stocks, invest in the long term. You will make some money. All right. In the meantime, you can watch the Knicks win a championship. Okay. All right. Next topic. We are going into AI dividends. Yes, a new term, universal basic capital. If AI replaces workers, and we have a lot of tension here, should workers own the upside? California Governor Gavin Newsom signed an executive order on May 21st, 2026, directing the state to prepare for AI disruption in the workforce. Duh. Thanks a lot, Gavin Newsom. The order tells California agencies to study worker protections, early warning systems, job transition support, and ways to make sure Californians share in the gains created by AI-driven productivity. How can we share? Well, here's the first thing that you can do to actually share in the AI productivity boom. You should be putting your money in the stock market in indexes, SMH, SPY. You should be buying the stock market, because I'm going to say this for as long as this show exists. We are at a very ripe place in our economy, in our lives. This is a generational opportunity. You can get rich in the stock market. That's how the rich play their game. We are going to see an incredible AI revolution. I can't say it enough. I totally believe in it. Put your money in stocks, put your money in semiconductors, put it in the industrials, put it in energy, put it in the overall S&P 500, and get a piece of every sector, every industry. We are going to see our money multiply, but that's not what this is about. But if you do want a piece of AI, that's how you invest in it. However, this phrase that we're dissecting here is called universal basic capital. Most people know about universal basic income. It was coined by Andrew Yang, or at least popularized in 2020 during his presidential campaign. And that proposed the freedom dividend, which was $1,000 per month for American adults. Where would this money come from? It would come from the government. We don't know what the hell they're doing with our money anyway. What is universal basic capital? It's different. UBI gives people income. UBC gives people ownership. That's the shift. If AI creates trillions of dollars in new wealth, UBC asks whether ordinary people should own a piece of the systems creating that wealth. Interesting to me. This is not only about factory work anymore. AI is already moving through white-collar tasks, a customer support job that used to require a person, a junior coding task that used to go to an entry-level developer, a marketing draft that used to go to a copywriter. These are all being replaced. The point is not one industry. The point is that AI is entering paid human judgment. So the economic question changes. If machines begin doing more of the work, how do humans keep bargaining power? One answer is income. Another answer is ownership. OpenAI released a policy paper in April called Industrial Policy for the Intelligence Age. It proposed a public wealth fund that would give every citizen, including people who do not own stocks, a stake in AI-driven economic growth. This is OpenAI CEO Sam Altman.
Fundamentally, our business, and I think the business of every other model provider, is going to look like selling tokens. They may come from bigger or smaller models, which makes them more or less expensive. They may use more or less reasoning, which also makes them more or less expensive. They may be running all the time in the background trying to help you out. They may run only when you need them if you want to pay less. They may work super hard spend tens of millions, hundreds of millions, someday billions of dollars on a single problem that's really valuable. But we see a future where intelligence is a utility like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter and use it for whatever they want to use it for. The demand that we see for that seems like it's going to continue to just go like this. And if we don't have enough, we either can't sell it, or the price gets really high and it kind of goes to rich people, or society makes a bunch of sort of central planning decisions that I think almost always go badly about, we're going to use our limited gift supply for this and not that. So the best thing to me throughout all the history of capitalism, innovation, whatever you want, is to just flood the market. Yeah.
Okay, flood the market. Flood the market with what? Flood the market with more companies. Flood the market with more artificial intelligence. I'm not sure. But this idea of an AI dividend, sharing the profits, why not? Again, we don't know where our money goes anyway when it comes to the government. So I'd like to see some of our money shared. That's the practical version of UBC. Do people get a check after the disruption happens, or do people get a stake in the upside before the disruption hits? That's the core debate now, isn't it? If AI raises productivity, who captures the benefit? Does it go right back into these companies and they keep that money and give it to their shareholders? Is it the executives? Are they going to be paid billions of dollars in bonuses? Highly likely. It's happening today. Or does it go to the worker who trained the system? The worker who got replaced? The public that funded universities, infrastructure, research, power grids? Remember that our money fundamentally funds this entire economy. Without taxpayer dollars, our society, the one that we know, does not exist. But these are not the same answers. This is why California matters. Because California is home to major AI companies in infrastructure: OpenAI, Google, Meta, Anthropic, NVIDIA, venture capital, data centers. And of course, the political fight around regulation. So Newsom is not studying this from the outside. California is standing inside the engine room. His order also calls for a dashboard within 90 days to track AI's employment impact across sectors using unemployment insurance data. It calls for policy recommendations within 180 days on worker support and possible updates to early warning systems for layoffs. That gives you 3 dates to hit. May 21st, 2026, Newsom signs the order. 90 days, dashboard to track AI job impact. 180 days, recommendations for worker protections. Now, whether those get enacted or not, we will have to see, but the questions get a little bit more specific. If citizens receive shares in the public AI fund, can they sell those shares? If they can sell them, wealthier investors may eventually buy them up from people who need fast cash. If they cannot sell them, then what kind of ownership is it? Is it a dividend? Is it a retirement account? Do we own a piece of a sovereign wealth fund? Some type of national 401k? And if the funds invest heavily in today's largest AI companies, does that help competition or lock in the winners? This is Anthropic co-founder Chris Olah.
The first is our duty to the global poor. There is a real possibility that AI will displace human labor at a very large scale. If that happens, supporting those displaced will be a moral imperative of historic proportions. This task will be difficult enough, but I worry most dialogue misses an even harder challenge. AI development is concentrated in a handful of wealthy nations. How will we ensure that the gains of AI are shared globally? We do not have a mechanism for this. It is an unsolved problem. And it is the kind of problem the church has historically refused to let the world ignore. The second is the need for moral imagination and ambition regarding human flourishing. If AI models are going to be widespread, what does it look like?
So the way I look at this is that we are going to go through an incredible transformation. We are going to see multiple trillionaires, not only in our lifetime, in the next 10 years. If we truly believe that we are going to have this futuristic society where we're going to have a ton of companies that have $1 trillion market caps, that means we are going to multiply our money almost infinitely at this point. We are going to see quadrillions of dollars one day. Where does that money go? History says that money will get concentrated at the top. Man, are we really going to make that mistake again? I mean, I don't want to go down this capitalist rabbit hole, but damn. We are going to have the most critical piece of technology and innovation, arguably, that has ever existed, that has ever been known to man. We are going to have that at our fingertips. Artificial intelligence. And I really want you to think about those movies, think about those TV shows. That's how I think about it. That's what I'm investing in. And I do believe that we will profit handsomely. But what happens to all of the money, all of the profits that will be generated? Are these going to go to the select few? Or is it going to go, if we look at history, is it going to go to the kings and the queens, to the uber rich, the ultra rich? That's probably the path that we're going down. Now, of course, a public wealth fund could spread the upside. It could also make the public financially dependent on the same companies regulators are supposed to police. Sound like a conflict of interest? Then Pope Leo enters the same topic from a different angle. Pope Leo warned about the AI race becoming a modern Tower of Babel. His concerns included deepfakes, worker disruption, autonomous weapons, concentrated tech power, and the need for stronger government regulation of companies building these systems. That broadens the topic. AI is not only about employment, it is about truth. If a video can be fake, a voice can be cloned. A photo can be generated. We're seeing that today. AI is also about war. Autonomous weapons can identify targets, coordinate drone swarms, accelerate battlefield decisions. So then the question remains, who's morally responsible when a machine acts? Who controls access? If intelligence becomes about infrastructure, like electricity, railroads, oil, search engines, or cloud computing, who owns it? AI is going to force society to separate work from income and income from ownership. UBI answers one problem. People need money. Do we give them a dividend? UBC answers a different problem. People need a stake in this productivity, which we created and our ancestors created. We know AI will create vast amounts of wealth. The question is whether the wealth goes to the public, the state, the worker, the shareholder, or a handful of companies sitting on the most powerful economic machinery ever built. And I hope our leaders make the right decision. I hope that they see that there should be an equitable stake, not for every American, but for every global person for everyone around the world. If this technology is so great, maybe we can actually solve world hunger. What is that, too far-fetched to conjure up? Why not? We're in the infantile stage. We're using ChatGPT, we're using Claude. When we talk about robotics, when we talk about autonomous weapons, when we talk about machines that can actually navigate the sea, understand what's in our water, potentially clean our water, get food to the right people at the right time in the right places, our leaders should be steering this gift that we have, this gift for society, to solve the world's problems. Not make the very few, the very, very few at the top of the pyramid profit like they usually do. If the benefits of this revolution get concentrated at the top once again, we have failed. We have failed as a species. That will be one of the damnest things ever, and it should be written. Everyone should learn from it. I really hope society does not make that mistake, but we need good leaders in place to steer us in the right direction. Okay, next topic. One of my favorites. Howard Lutnick did what? What you do, Howard? Wait. Let's get Howard's face on screen just so you see him. There's good old Howard Lutnick. Look, man, I know nothing about you, Howard. You know, maybe if I had some afternoon tea with you, maybe we could chat it up a bit. I don't know. Maybe we would be cool. I don't know. I mean, you were good friends with Epstein. You liar. You say that you're not? What? Hold on. Let's go back to the story. Howard Lutnick did what? Howard Lutnick, you dirty dog. You little devil dog. You guys remember devil dogs? You remember hostess cakes? Devil dogs. Come on now. Don't make me Google it. Okay, fine. I will. Little devil dog. You remember the little devil dog? Little devil dogs. Honestly, devil dogs were not that good. You know, I used to like the Swiss cake rolls. You know what I'm saying? Swiss cake rolls. Oh, these Swiss rolls. These were my favorite, man. What? This with a little soda? Ah, disgusting. Now that I'm 36, I'm thinking about the oof, disgusting. Anyway, back to Howard Lutnick and this corruption scandal. What? It's not a corruption scandal? Yeah, okay. What do you think's happening here? Audience, what do you think, guys? What do you think? I don't think the audience is stupid. What? Look, the answers in life are all simple. We know we should eat right. We know we should read every day. We know we should exercise every day. We know we should sleep early. We know we shouldn't be on our laptops too much. The answers in life are very easy. Yes? Okay. Well, here's another answer. Here's something that's black and white that a moron understands, right? Even a moron. I'd be insulting the moron if I thought that they couldn't understand what's happening here. Lutnick donated $5 million to House Republicans before Epstein testimony. Why would you do that? Why would you just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to just give $5 million to House Republicans? Well, let's understand what's happening here. First off, Howard Lutnick is the United States Commerce Secretary. On April 1st, 2026, he donated $5 million to a congressional leadership fund, the main super PAC supporting House Republicans and Speaker Mike Johnson. Bravo. I wonder why you would do that. Well, let's ask the obvious question. Nothing is obvious in this world, but let's ask the obvious question. When's the last time you gave somebody money for something and didn't expect something in return? Only when you make like a charitable donation, right? You're giving money to a political super PAC. Okay. Now, that was his first contribution since becoming Commerce Secretary, and it tied his largest ever federal political donation. The New York Times reports that it also said that it was an unusually large contribution for a sitting cabinet secretary. Now, lay out the timeline, because this is actually the largest amount we've ever seen from his position being donated. On March 3rd, 2026, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer announced that Lutnick would voluntarily appear for a transcribed interview as part of the committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. That's March 3rd. On April 1st, Lutnick gave $5 million to the Congressional Leadership Fund. On May 6th, 2026, Lutnick sat for a closed-door transcribed interview with the House Oversight Committee. The Commerce Department said he answered nearly 400 questions from members and staff. So let's reiterate the sequence here. March 3rd, House Oversight announces Lutnick will be interviewed about Epstein. April 1st, Lutnick donates $5 million to House Republicans. May 6th, Lutnick answers nearly 400 questions behind closed doors. That is the story. A cabinet secretary giving $5 million to the political operation backing the party that controls the committee interviewing him. Now, the donation, it's legal. Of course it is. The Department of Commerce said Lutnick made the donation in his personal capacity, and federal employees are allowed to make political contributions. Is there anything wrong with it? Not so far. In the court of public opinion, absolutely, your hair should be on fire. What the hell is going on over here? This is about public trust. Do you trust the government? I don't know. Have we seen any Epstein files? We've seen the precipice. We've seen nothing. Everything's redacted. If you truly have nothing to hide, why not put it out for all to see? Oh, but those are just questions from the layman, right? Because I'm just a layman. I don't know anything. I'm stupid, right? Stay in your lane. Don't ask questions of the government. Now, what's $5 million? Is that routine political small money? It's 7 figures. It's not a donor giving $2,800. It's not a fundraising dinner. It's $5 million from a sitting cabinet secretary after an Epstein interview was arranged and before the interview happened. Is this ordinary in your eyes? Or does it create the appearance of influence over the party conducting the oversight? Hey, I know you're going to ask me all these questions about like this crazy thing about like this guy that, he was raping children and, I'm the Commerce Secretary, right? Why don't you just listen, man, I'm the Commerce Secretary. How about that? Okay. So this is how it's going to go. I'm sure there was a lot of imposition here. Yeah. This is how it's going to go, all right? Because let me tell you guys all something. I'm the one in power here. I'm Trump's right-hand man. So I'm going to be nice about this situation, okay? All right, fellas? Behind closed doors? Yeah? Let's act like stuff like this doesn't happen. Stuff like this happens all day, every day. So I'm going to be nice. This is Howard Lutnick speaking, yes? I'm going to be nice about this. You're going to ask me your questions. We're going to do what we got to do. I'm going to give you guys $5 million. And, there's going to be other things. That's what's going to be public. And I'm going to take care of you and you and you and you. Personally, we're going to do other things. And you're going to keep quiet. And you're going to keep quiet for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't want me as your enemy. Certainly not your political one. That's number one, buddy. Okay? Everybody listening? You better be listening here. Number two, this is a threat to the American people. The American people can't know anything about this. We've got an Iranian war, Venezuela, Cuba, Russia, China. We've got too much going on in the world. This is the last thing that Americans need to worry about. So everyone get in line. Yeah? Or there's going to be hell to pay. That's probably how the conversation went down. What do you think happens in our US government? Again, y'all, like, let's not act like our nation is not corrupt. We're just clandestine about it. We are just clever at hiding it. Every nation, every government has corruption. Power corrupts. How many places are you going to read it? You will read it in every holy book. You will read it from every man that has ever worked or stepped foot in government. You will hear it from philosophers. You will hear it from leaders galore. I mean, how many times do you need to hear it? Power does corrupt. And this is why we need checks and balances. Stuff like this happens every single day. The Epstein side, of course, is the topic here. Howard Lutnick has not been accused of crimes connected to Jeffrey Epstein. That has to be stated clearly. We don't want to defame the man. However, he has been questioned because his name appeared in Epstein-related records and because past public statements are being compared with later records. CBS reported that the Justice Department released more than 3 million pages of Epstein-related records in late January 2026. And that Lutnick was among powerful people shown to have been in Epstein's orbit. The New York Times reported that Lutnick's name appeared in more than 250 documents in the Epstein files. Where there's smoke, there's fire, baby. And guess what? When you go check out the smoke, what you gonna do? Like a good steward, you're gonna put out the fire. So you know what we gotta do? We gotta take Howard Lutnick out in the street, call the fire department, have them turn on, turn on the sprinkler system, and the pump, the hydrant, open the hydrant like we did as kids in the summer, and you gotta hose them down. That's what I'm saying. How's that for a punishment? I mean, that's, I was never hosed down with like a fire hose, but from what I've seen videos and stuff, and from what I hear, it really hurts. That's a punishment. I don't know if it's enough. Listen, the punishment doesn't fit this crime. If he did something disgusting with Epstein, it certainly doesn't fit this crime. But maybe, Howard Lutnick, maybe he just needs a little hose anyway. Maybe, I don't know, who knows? Now, I mean, guys, sometimes I have, when you have something like, hey, let me tell you a secret. When you're talking to one of your friends and you're like, hey, let me tell you a secret. Oh, do I have something juicy for you? Oh, man. Lutnick lived next door to Epstein on Manhattan's Upper East Side. Do you know who does that? Do you think that's a coincidence? Do you know who does that? You know who moves in next to their best friend? Rich people. Not only rich people, uber rich people. Like super rich. Hey, buddy, I'm gonna move in next door to you. Who else were neighbors? Ben Epstein in West Palm Beach. Come on now. Do the math, y'all. You only want to be a neighbor with someone if you want to be close to them. Duh. I mean, what are we talking about right here? Lutnick previously suggested that he and his wife cut ties with Epstein after a disturbing 2005 encounter at Epstein's house. Sounds like a Diddy story. He described Epstein showing them a massage table and making a disturbing comment, after which Lutnick said he and his wife left and decided he would not be in a room with Epstein again. Yeah. I mean, this story just gets juicier and juicier. Imagine a big Bubbaloo. You guys remember the candy, the gum Bubbaloo? I don't know if they still have them. I mean, maybe they do. But a big juicy Bubbaloo. Yummy. Bubbaloo. Nice and juicy. Ah, man. And you know the worst thing about Bubbaloo? Bubbaloo lasts like 5 seconds. The juice lasts like 5 seconds. Not like good old Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick gives us all the juice. Not like a 5-second Bubbaloo. Howard Lutnick. Ay. Juicy. Too juicy, buddy. So, Howard Lutnick says that he cut ties with Epstein after the disturbing 2005 encounter at Epstein's house, but later records and testimony raised questions about continued contact. Why? CBS reported that Lutnick acknowledged visiting Epstein's island in 2012. 2005, I was really mad. I saw something disgusting that Epstein did. And 7 years later, I was like, whatever. What was that thing that I saw? Who cares? He said he had lunch there for about 1 hour while on family vacation with his wife, children, and nannies. Okay, so what does that mean, buddy? That means that you went to Epstein Island for 1 hour. I mean, I know you're uber rich and you can fly to an island for an hour, but is that what that means? Hi. Now, why does this all matter? Of course, well, we're going to keep going with this because Epstein had pleaded guilty in 2008 to charges involving a minor. So Howard Lutnick went and had lunch with his little buddy, his little salacious buddy, in 2012. So 2008, 2012, 2005, Epstein, you're disgusting. I never want to talk to you again. 2008, Epstein gets convicted, pleads guilty to charges involving a minor. 2012, hey, buddy, what's for lunch? The Guardian reported that records showed continued interactions after Epstein's 2008 conviction, including the 2008 visit to Epstein's island and a scheduled meeting in 2011. So now we have 2 outlets reporting it. And he also met him in 2011. I mean, he was in over 250 documents, remember? Back to CBS. They reported documents showing Lutnick and Epstein had business connections as recently as 2014 involving the advertising company Adfin and communications in 2018 about the company and a museum expansion plan. Thank you very much, journalism. Good job. So the timeline is not just about the donation. It is also about what Lutnick said versus what records show. He said he had limited contact. Anyone lying in his position would say so, wouldn't they? He described the encounters as minimal. I barely did anything with Epstein. I barely knew the guy. Sound familiar? Trump says that all the time. It's time to drop this topic. During the closed-door interview, Lutnick reportedly characterized the interactions as limited to 3 encounters. And a commerce spokesperson, this is the Commerce Department. Guys, this is one of our departments in our government. Are you kidding me? It's not only the damn Commerce Secretary, it's also the damn Commerce Department. They said his view was that 3 encounters did not constitute a relationship. 3 encounters? You had 3 encounters with Epstein? That's not what all the evidence shows. So now the questions become very precise. Let us restate them, please. If the breakup between Epstein and Lutnick happened in 2005, how do we explain the 2011 scheduled meeting? If the relationship was minimal, what was the context of the 2012 island lunch? If the lunch was brief and family-based, why was it with Epstein after the 2008 conviction? And if records show business interactions around 2014 and communications in 2018, how should the public understand the claim of distance? Lastly, why did the $5 million donation happen after the committee interview was announced and before the closed-door testimony? That is enough for the audience. You do not need to overstate it. The facts are clear. A sitting Commerce Secretary, an Epstein interview announced March 3rd, a $5 million donation on April 1st, a closed-door interview on May 6th, 400 questions, more than 250 document mentions, a 2012 lunch after Epstein's 2008 conviction on Epstein Island. Business connections reported after that in 2018. No criminal accusation against Lutnick, a major public trust question around money, oversight, and access. That is the topic. That is the question. I rest my case. Where? Over there. Next topic. I love this. Okay? I just love it. I love the show. I love having my own show. And, before we get to the next topic, just Howard Lutnick, just do right by your own people. And if we never get the light of truth from anyone, this goes for Trump or anyone that has done something egregious to children or to anyone for that matter, just do the right thing, man. Pray to God, do whatever you have to do, consult your family, do the right thing and step away. I don't understand why we have such power-hungry, money-hungry leaders. You are Commerce Secretary. Don't disgrace the position. Don't disgrace the government. Don't insult our people. If you truly care about Americans and you did something wrong, you and God knows. Step away, man. Just step away. I don't give a shit what you call it. Resign, whatever the hell you want to call it, man. Retire, whatever it is. Do the right thing. Because it's not about us attacking you so that we can one-up you or kick you out. It's about having our government be rid of corruption. We're tired of seeing it, and there will be a day, yes, utopia in our government. There will be a day, especially with our youth, with the way our youth thinks, there will be a day where we transform our government. And this type of shit does not exist. All right, next topic, La Marqueta. Oh, yeah. New York City public grocery stores. 5 stores, $70 million, and New York's food bill. New York City is moving forward with New York City Groceries, a plan to create 5 city-supported grocery stores, 1 in each borough. So we're sharing the love. The city has committed $70 million in capital, funding the 5-store initiative. That is not just 1 store. The public plan is 5 stores citywide. 2 sites have been announced. The Manhattan site is La Marqueta in East Harlem. The store is planned at about 9,000 square feet and is expected to open in 2029. The Bronx site is the Peninsula in Hunts Point, part of the redevelopment of the former Spofford Juvenile Detention Facility. That site includes a planned 20,000 square foot grocery store expected to open in 2027. The other 3 locations, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island, have not been publicly selected yet. The administration is still examining locations and encouraging property owners to recommend sites. What do you think? I mean, seriously, we're talking about New York City grocery stores. Do you know what they're going to do? Without us even going further into this, they're going to subsidize food. It's only 5 stores. It's experimental. It's a sample size. Is it going to hurt our economy? No. It's going to be food shops with cheap prices. It's going to have a specific selection like you usually have. If you go to one supermarket, you get certain types of goods. If you go to another, you get another type of good, right? In this case, if a canned good usually costs $3, maybe it costs us $1.25. Great. We could use some subsidies. I don't see anything wrong with that. Let's test it out. You got 1 in Manhattan, 1 in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. The plan is 1 store per borough. The model is not free groceries. The model is subsidized grocery infrastructure. The city plans to waive rent and taxes for the stores so they can offer discounted food. That means the city is trying to remove costs a private grocer normally pays. Novel idea. Commercial rent, property taxes, construction or build out costs, real estate pressure. If those costs are lower, the city can require the operator to pass savings to customers on staple goods. That is the theory. So when someone asks, does this mean the city pays part of every grocery bill? The answer is not necessarily. The public plan appears to focus on lowering the store's overhead first. If rent is zero, taxes are waived, construction is publicly funded, and a private operator runs the store under affordability rules, then the price cut comes through the cost structure. Which items will be discounted? Eggs, milk, rice, beans, bread, chicken, produce, baby formula. How large is the discounted basket? These are questions that New Yorkers have. They have not been answered yet, but you can expect subsidized prices. Will every item be cheaper or only a defined list of staples? Now, the reason this story exists is the food bill. The New York State Comptroller reported that the average household in the New York City metro area spent $11,288 on food in 2022 to 2023. That's compared with $9,664 nationally. Food makes up 12.5% of the average household spending locally. That's here in New York City. 5 years earlier, in 2018, the average New York metro household spent $98.43 on food. In 2012, that number was $72.25. So the New York metro food bill went from $72.25 to $98.43 to now $11,288. That's 56.2% jump from 2012 to 2022. That's also a 14.7% jump from 2018 to 2022. Now, the at-home grocery number rose even faster. The comptroller found that food at-home costs in the New York City metro area rose from 65.8% in 2012 The comptroller found that food at home costs in the New York City metro area rose 65% from 2012 to 2022, while food away from home rose 43.6%. Now that matters because this grocery store plan is not mainly about restaurants. It is about the cost of food at home. The comptroller also said that the local food price index remained more than 25% higher than it was in 2019. Now everybody's familiar with this. This is just inflation. So if a household was spending more than $98.43 on food in 2018, a 25% price index increase gives you a rough inflation adjusted pressure point around $12,300. Now that's not a perfect household spending estimate, but it is a useful way to explain the pressure. The food basket that cost about $10,000 before the pandemic now feels closer to $12,000 plus.
With only one full-service supermarket within a quarter mile, thousands of New Yorkers have only limited options. We are here together today to change that and to chart a new course. Last month, we announced that we would fulfill a campaign promise, that we would lower prices by creating a network of city-owned grocery stores, one in each borough. In these stores, prices will be cheaper. Workers will be paid fairly and treated with dignity. Going to the grocery store will no longer cause that same anxiety for so many New Yorkers. Now, on April 13th, we announced the first site, La Marqueta en el Barrio. And in doing so, honoring the legacy of Fiorella LaGuardia, who opened a site close to 100 years prior with the same mission of delivering cheaper goods to New Yorkers. Today,
love him or hate him, Mamdani has his agenda, and he's trying out new ideas. The people that don't like him are going to say that he's ruining New York. And they're also going to mispronounce his name. Now, by April 2026, the New York Area Food Index was still rising. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the New York area food prices rose 5% over the year ending April 2026. Grocery store food prices were up 5.9%, and food away from home was up 3.4%. Fruits and vegetables alone led the annual increase at 11.8%. Guys, fruits and vegetables alone are up 11.8% year over year. Nationally, USDA said food prices in April 2026 were 3.2% higher than April 2025. Food at home was up 2.9%. Food away from home up 3.6%. USDA is also forecasting that food at home prices would rise 3.2% for 2026. So what does that tell you? If our inflation rate is roughly around 3%, you need to protect your capital. You should be investing in the stock market. And that's how you can protect yourself from inflation. So New York's grocery store inflation was running hotter than the national food at home rate in April 2026 data. Now, in family terms, USDA's food plans are national benchmarks, not New York specific, but they give a good baseline. For a family of 4, 1 man and 1 woman aged 20 to 50, plus 2 children ages 6 to 8 and 9 to 11, the monthly food at home cost comes out roughly like this. On a thrifty plan, about $1,000 per month. Low cost plan, $1,100 per month. Moderate cost plan, $1,365 per month. Liberal plan, whatever the hell that means, $1,651 per month. You know how much you spend per household. For 2 adults, aged 20 to 50, it costs about $800 per month on groceries. And now if we bring it back to New York, a national family of 4 grocery benchmark is around $1,000 to $1,650 per month. And of course, you have to account for New York's realities. Higher rents for stores, higher labor costs, delivery and logistics, smaller apartments, less storage, fewer bulk purchases. So that's why the city is focusing on overhead. If commercial rent is one of the drivers of grocery pricing, then a rent-free public grocery store is in an attempt to attack the cost structure. But the math has to be clear. La Marqueta site reportedly has about $30 million in funding for a 9,000 square foot space. That works out to be $3,333 per square foot. The broader initiative is $70 million for 5 stores. If one site is going to cost $30 million, that means the remaining $40 million covers 4 more boroughs. Probably not going to happen. So in all likelihood, our mayor has underestimated the costs of this initiative. A New York Post report citing supermarket experts said the East Harlem store's cost was about 4 times a typical supermarket build-out, and that experts estimated it could lose about $300,000 per year even without rent. That is a criticism of the model, not the city's official projection, but it is a number that belongs in the debate. There's also the scale problem. New York City has more than 8 million people. 5 grocery stores cannot fully change the city food market by itself. So what is this exactly? A price control experiment? A pilot to pressure private stores? We have to look at both sides of the debate. Is it just a symbolic answer to grocery inflation? Who's actually going to benefit from this? It's only the people that live in and around that area. The answer matters because the public should judge the program by its goal. If the goal is to help specific neighborhoods, 5 stores may actually matter locally. If the goal is to bring down citywide grocery prices, 5 stores is tiny compared with the size of the market. It will do almost nothing. However, if the goal is to prove a model, then the city needs to publish numbers from day one. We need monthly prices, customer counts, operating losses. That's how the public will know whether the model works. Now the free grocery store confusion. A temporary free grocery pop-up did happen in New York, but it was not Mamdani's permanent public grocery program. Poly Market opened a temporary free grocery store pop-up in February 2026, and it donated $1 million to the food bank for New York City. Kalshi also ran a separate free grocery promotion, offering up to $50 in free groceries at a Manhattan market. Those were private promotional events by prediction market companies. They were not permanent city-run grocery stores. So the distinction is clear. What happened in February were free groceries with charity, promotion, temporary relief. Subsidized public groceries is the real plan. This is what he was talking about in his campaign, and this means city-backed infrastructure designed to lower prices. The final question is not whether food is expensive. The numbers already show that. Average New York metro households, they went from spending $72.25 to $11,288 in about 10 years. Food at home costs rose 65%. New York area grocery prices were up 5.9% year over year in April 2026. And a national family of four, their food at home benchmark is already roughly $1,500 per month. That's before the New York premium. So the real question is whether 5 city-backed stores and $70 million in public capital can produce savings large enough to matter. Let's see, Mayor Mamdani. It is a novel idea, and hopefully it works. These plans are for the betterment of society. It's certainly not corruption. It's certainly not him trying to fill some hidden agenda. At least it doesn't look like it. I say we give it a chance. We've given Donald Trump a chance. We've given all the other leaders that we have chances. This guy seems as genuine as they come, as genuine as you can see a Bernie Sanders, if you will. I'm not going to just hate the guy, A, because he's Muslim, B, because he's trying to, implement subsidized processes, socialist tendencies, any of that. I'm going to look at his record, what he's trying to do, how he's trying to steer, and where he's trying to steer New York City. And if I see that he's doing his job with integrity and looking and caring after the people, that's how I will judge his record. What do they say? Don't jump to conclusions, but we forget all that, right? Okay, next topic. Now, this topic starts with a question: how much of identity is chosen and how much is installed before a child has the ability to evaluate it? A child enters the world without political theory, religious doctrine, national mythology, economic language, or an adult understanding of race. And I love this, right? Because when does a kid understand race? When does a kid understand anything, right? They're direct reflections of you. My son, my daughter is a reflection of me and everything around them. And your children are reflections and depictions of what they see, what they absorb, everything around them. How did you get your sense of style? You see mannequins, you see people dressed out on the street, you see images on TV, and you wear what they wear. That's what forms your style. But we're going to get deep into this. Because just to hit on race, when does someone understand what's black versus white? What we're really getting at here, and I don't want to sound patronizing or anything, but what we're really getting at here is that the child becomes corrupted, do they not? And if you question this even for a second, think about the innocence of a child. That's why we have such a famous expression, isn't it? Our children are innocent. That's why we protect them, right? They don't see color. They don't see race. They don't see rich versus poor. They don't understand what religion is. They have no idea what the polarization of politics even means. That's when the world sets in. When we become of a certain age, and the world starts assigning that meaning. Skin color becomes more than skin. A last name can suggest class, ethnicity, immigration history, or social position. Our accents change how intelligent someone sounds to strangers. What is the stereotype? When you hear someone that has an accent or has broken English, you tend to associate them with a lower IQ. This happens in the background, right? That's how we're designed. A neighborhood can shape assumptions before a person says a word. If you see a dilapidated area, you think people are poor there. It's probably filled with minorities. I'm speaking out loud here, right? I'm saying what the quiet part out loud. And what of that neighborhood when you see a dilapidated neighborhood? What do you think? You see a city, a town that's torn up. How do you interpret that? What do you see when you see one of these cities that's being destroyed, or you see drugs? You judge them, right? As if those people have no culture, no lives, no reason to exist. Yeah? Religion arrives before the child has the tools to compare beliefs. I'm born Christian. I am happy I'm born Christian. I absolutely love God. But I have long said this, and I actually said this in my church. And, no one was upset with me or anything, but I said it at a fairly young age, about 13 years old. I said, listen, I'm only Christian because I was born in a Christian household. If I was born in a Muslim household, I would be Muslim. No. Now, most people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that distinction. But what all of this is, accents, neighborhoods, religion, skin color, it's not formal instruction. Nobody's coming to a child and saying, hey, that person's black, that person's white. No one's saying that. Children learn through repeated signals, just as we all do. They watch how adults react in certain neighborhoods. They hear which names are praised and which names become jokes. They see which groups are treated as safe, which groups are treated as threatening, which families appear wealthy, which accents are corrected, which communities get represented as successful, and which are represented as dangerous. That is the social training through observation. Now, research summarized by the American Psychological Association says children notice race earlier than many adults assume. They cited findings that a 3-month-old baby can show preferences for faces from certain racial groups. At 9 months old, they can use race to categorize faces, and children around 3 to 5 can express racial bias. Now, that does not mean that children are born without adult ideology. It means children are born learning. They absorb tone, pattern, anxiety, status, praise, fear, silence, and repetition. A parent locks the car door. A teacher disciplines one child faster than another. A television show makes one group the professional and another group the criminal. These are the subtleties that we want to hone in on. What happens when a family member warns against dating someone from a certain background? A child may not understand politics, but may hear their parents arguing about it, and the emotional lesson is learned. Now let's add in economics. Median white household wealth in 2022 was about $284,000. Compare that with black household wealth at $44,000. Hispanic household wealth during the same period, 2022, $62,000. So identity here is not just symbolic. It connects to housing, schools, inheritance, safety, transportation. A child can be told your identity does not define you. The same child may watch society behave as if identity matters constantly. The contradiction becomes part of growing up. Now, religion works in a similar way. Most children do not grow up studying every major belief system and then choosing one through neutral comparison. The first framework usually arrives through family. The household teaches the prayers, the community teaches the holidays, the family teaches what is sacred, what is sinful, what is normal, and what is forbidden. Pew Research reports that in 2025, 56% of US adults still identify with their childhood religion, while 35% have moved away from the religion in which they were raised. That number shows two things at once. Inheritance is powerful, revision is possible. We're not talking about converting religions here. The question is whether children are given real room to breathe. If a child questions religion, is it curiosity or rebellion? How are we framing it as a parent? If a young person questions inherited racial identity, is it independence or betrayal? If someone questions nationalism, is that critical thinking or disloyalty? And yes, we are blurring the lines here. We're going into the area of freedom of speech as well. If people question their family traditions, is that growth or is it considered disrespect? Every community says it wants strong young people. The test is what happens when strength turns into independent judgment, and are we squandering it? Are we inhibiting our children's minds from asking questions by giving them certain mental models in which, if they do not abide by, we penalize them? That is where cultural ageism enters the picture. A young person is often told that to preserve the inherited identity, represent it, defend it, and that they should take pride in it. At the same time, that young person may not be allowed to reshape it. So identity becomes both inheritance and assignment. Race can carry pride, memory, resistance, solidarity, and historical consciousness. But it can also place a burden on a child before the child understands why the burden exists. Religion can provide discipline, meaning, family, charity, and moral seriousness. It can also frighten children with punishment, shame, exclusion, or eternal consequences before they are old enough to consent intellectually. So are we extinguishing dreams once they occur? Children are new canvases. They have bright, imaginative, creative minds. If we are constantly telling them to conform, Are we stripping away their individuality? And now, one of the biggest questions that I have is when you look at the depression, the suicide, the anxiety, when you look at all of the issues that we have, especially the mental aspect of things, all of the drugs that we take for it, I don't think there's a person on this earth that wouldn't say that we have an epidemic internationally across the globe with our mental health. Yet we stray away from the topic most times. We have to straighten up, be strong, wisen up. Are we stunting our youth's development by making them conform? And that is the argument here. Are we saying that you're too young to know anything? You can't possibly understand what it's like to be an adult. You can't possibly understand, further to that point, you can't possibly understand what it means to live. Are we stripping their ability to create, to imagine? Are we squandering their dreams right at the outset? We're talking about 4, 5, 8 years old. Or should we let them think? Should we let them ask questions? Should we embrace their curiosity? Class creates ambition and survival instincts. But it can also teach children the boundaries of their place before they ever test their ability. Let me ask you something. What benefit do you think is given to children when they understand a socioeconomic hierarchy outside of just understanding it? Knowledge is power, of course. What benefit is given to a child that understands that their race is inferior to the next person's? What does that do other than create fear and divide and conquer? It divides the people, it conquers the mind. It makes the mind shrivel up and withdraw, doesn't it? That's what all of this does. We should let our children flourish. I'll tell you right now, as a 36-year-old, I'm not, patting myself on the back, but I had a very creative mind. And I think most of the people that I grew up with that I still know today would tell you that, especially my family. They know how creative I was. But I had to conform, right? I had to get a job. I had to work. I had to go to school. I had to learn a bunch of topics that I cared nothing about. When the bell rung, I had to do this. When the alarm went off, I had to get up. I had to conform at every which way. And then I had to learn the realities of society, which is a very grim place. I remember my first grade teacher telling us never to grow up. It's a cruel and dark place. Life's a bitch. And he actually couldn't hold his tongue from saying that in front of a bunch of first graders. Does the world have to be like this? Or can we thrive in our curiosity? I think the world would be a much more amazing place if we could ask more questions, have more community, be open to one another, rather than stunting everyone's imagination. This isn't just an imaginative kid. This isn't about me. This is about everyone. This is about you. You have an imagination. I will guarantee right now that you've had plenty, dozens of bright ideas throughout your lifetime, no matter what age you are. Why is it that you haven't taken up any of those ideas? Why isn't that there hasn't been a relentless pursuit on your end? Maybe it's because of this conformity. Maybe it's because our culture has become a script that reduces the person. If society tells children what their skin means, what their names mean, what their God means, how much space is left for the child themselves, for them to become something or even something else? You layer that with social media. A teenager is not only absorbing identity from family, school, religion, and neighborhood, they're being sorted out by algorithms. Race conflict, gender conflict, religious conflict, political humiliation, beauty standards, class resentment. This is all the content that we see, yeah? The phone learns what creates a reaction, then it feeds the reaction back. That means young people are being pushed into categories while they are still forming. CDC data from 2023 found that 40% of high school students reported persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness. Do you think that's something that they would lie about? 40% of students? 20% seriously considered attempting suicide, and 9% attempted suicide. I'm asking a very clear question. Are our conformity standards harming our children? Are we giving them space? This is not caused by identity alone, but identity pressure is part of the environment. Children are trying to become themselves while being constantly told what they are, what they represent, where they fit in, and how the world sees them. There has to be a collective effort here. And I think if we all look in the mirror, we could see, man, I'm kind of damaged goods, aren't I? I'm depressed at times. I've questioned whether I want to live or not. I mean, how many people spend adulthood undoing conclusions they absorbed before they had the power to question them? How much of personality is preference and how much is adaptation? Do we really have our free will when society creates the standard? I guess what would childhood look like if adults gave children culture without ownership, tradition without coercion, and identity without a cage? Maybe we're not all starving for attention. Maybe we're just starving to be ourselves. And the shell that this world creates makes our minds spin. I'd like to think that most people get to break out of this at some point in their life. Most people, I would think, are jaded. There's going to be many people that say, shut the hell up, I don't care. But this is a very important topic. Are we doing a disservice? And that word isn't strong enough. Are we hurting our children? I understand there's family tradition, there's ways of doing things. Maturation of a child needs to run in parallel with the guardianship of parents. But we should protect their curiosity. We should protect their imaginations. We should allow their creativity to flourish. What if we gave our children that chance? I'd be willing to make the bet that the world would be a better place. Thanks for watching.